The sky over Valthos IV burned orange and red. Mediator Alessandra stood at the window of the council chambers and watched her world die. Buildings that stood for thousands of years crumbled under the bombardment. The shields were failing. Soon the orbital strikes would reach the city center, where the last of her people huddled in shelters. The Valthine were a peaceful species. They evolved on a gentle world where food was plentiful and predators were few. For 10,000 years they built a civilization based on philosophy, art, and mathematics. They had no weapons. They had no armies. They never needed them, until the Krithar came. The Krithar Empire swept through the sector like a plague. They were conquerors who believed that strength was the only virtue that mattered. When the Valthine offered diplomacy, the Krithar laughed. When they offered surrender, the Krithar refused. The Empire wanted complete annihilation. They wanted to erase the Valthine from existence as a warning to others. Alessandra turned from the window. The other council members looked at her with desperate eyes. They had tried everything. Nothing worked. We must send the message, she said quietly. Scholar Threndal nodded. His hands shook as he activated the quantum transmitter. It will reach across the galaxy. Every species will hear our call. Will anyone answer? Another council member asked. I don't know, Alessandra admitted. But we must try. The message was simple. They recorded it in every language their translators could manage. Alessandra spoke the words herself, her voice steady despite the fear in her heart. We are the Valthine of Valthos IV. We are dying. We are innocents who never raised weapons against anyone. Please, if anyone can hear this, help us. We are being slaughtered for no reason. Please, someone, anyone, help. The transmission fired into space, carrying their prayer across the stars. Far away, in the chambers of the Galactic Assembly, hundreds of species received the message. They gathered in emergency session. Representatives debated and argued. Some wanted to help. Others worried about the cost. Ancient protocols required unanimous consent for military intervention. The vote never passed. The debates continued while the Valthine died, but the message traveled farther than the Galactic Assembly. It reached places the Assembly didn't know existed. It reached a yellow star system on the edge of the galaxy. It reached Earth. Admiral Yun Tajin sat in the command center beneath Geneva and listened to the message for the third time. Around him, analysts worked frantically to translate and verify the transmission. Is it real? He asked. Yes, sir, the chief analyst replied. We've confirmed the location. It's a genuine distress call. The Valthine are being attacked by an empire called the Krithar. Estimated time until complete extinction is 72 hours. Yun closed his eyes. He was a military man. He understood war. He also understood what it meant when no one answered a call for help. What do we know about this Galactic Assembly? They're aware of the situation, sir. They're debating intervention. But their protocols are slow. By the time they reach a decision, the Valthine will be gone. Yun nodded. Prepare a briefing for the UEG Council. We need authorization. 6 hours later, the United Earth Government Council met in emergency session. Yun presented the situation with military efficiency. Maps, data, analysis. The Valthine were innocent. The Krithar were aggressors. Earth had the capability to intervene. Why should we risk our people for aliens we've never met? One council member asked. Yun looked at the man. Because we know what happens when good people do nothing. We learned that lesson in our own history. We paid for it with rivers of blood. The debate was short. The vote was unanimous. Earth would respond. In orbit above Earth, the United Earth Space Navy mobilized. 5 massive dreadnoughts powered up their reactors. 30 cruisers loaded weapons and supplies. Dozens of support vessels prepared for deployment. And in the barracks, the elite Void Recon units received their orders. Captain Han Doyen stood on the bridge of the UESN Retribution and watched his crew work. He was a veteran of the Titan Wars, the brutal conflict that nearly tore humanity apart before they learned to unify. He lost his family to raiders during those dark years. That loss shaped him into the officer he was today. Status report, he ordered. All systems green, Captain, his executive officer replied. We're ready for jump, Doyen nodded. He opened ship-wide communications. His crew deserved to know what they were flying into. This is the captain. We've received a distress call from a peaceful species called the Valthine. They're being exterminated by an aggressive empire. The Galactic Assembly is doing nothing. We're going to do something. He paused, choosing his words carefully. We're not heroes. We're not saviors. We're soldiers. We're people who survived a death world and learned how to fight in the most brutal ways imaginable. Those aliens asked for help. We're going to give it to them. But understand this, we're going to do it our way. We're going to show the galaxy what happens when you threaten innocence and Earth is watching. Another pause. They asked for saviors. We're not that. But we'll do what saviors can't. We'll make their enemies afraid of the dark. All hands prepare for jump. The fleet formed up in orbital space. Navigation officers calculated the coordinates. Engineers verified the quantum slip drives, technology that Earth developed in secret, faster than anything the galaxy used. Admiral Yoon gave the order from Earth. All ships, you are authorized to jump. Protect the Valthene. Show no mercy to those who target innocence. Make Earth proud. Captain Doyen looked at his bridge crew. They were ready. Young and old, veteran and recruit, they all understood what was at stake. Engage jump drive, he ordered. Space twisted. Reality bent. The fleet vanished from Earth's orbit. Destination: Valthos the Fordat. Travel time by standard galactic FTL, 6 weeks. Travel time by human quantum slip drive, 18 hours. On Valthos the 4, Mediator Alessandra huddled in a shelter with the survivors. Children cried. Adults tried to comfort them while bombs fell outside. The shields were gone now. The Krithar were conducting ground operations, hunting down the last of her people. Did anyone answer? Someone asked. Alessandra shook her head. The assembly is still debating. They won't reach us in time. Then we die. She wanted to deny it, but she couldn't. The truth was clear. Her people would be extinct before sunrise. Outside, the bombardment continued. The Krethar showed no mercy. They never did. But high above the planet, at the edge of the system, space began to twist in ways the Krethar sensors had never seen before. Warning alarms sounded aboard the blockade fleet. War Master Drokath looked at the readings with confusion. What is that? His sensor officer's voice was uncertain. Unknown ship, sir. 35 contacts. They just appeared at the system edge. Impossible. Standard FTL doesn't work that way. Identify them. The officer worked frantically. Unknown design, sir. Unknown power signatures. They're not in our database. They're not galactic assembly vessels. Drokath felt the first stirring of unease. Hail them! Demand identification. The message went out. For a moment, there was no response. Then a single word came back in perfectly translated Krethar language. No. Drokath didn't understand. What do they mean, no? His communications officer looked pale. That was their entire response, sir. Just no. Then fire a warning shot. Show them we mean business. The Krithar fleet adjusted formation. They were experienced warriors. 60 warships against 35 unknowns. The odds seemed favorable. On the bridge of the Retribution, Captain Doyen watched the Krithar fleet maneuver. They were trying to intimidate him. Standard tactics, predictable, weapons free, he ordered. Target their cruisers first. Let's show them what Earth brings to the party. The Retribution's main railguns activated. Magnetic coils charged. Tungsten rods, each weighing several tons, accelerated to 5% of light speed. The Krithar shields were designed to stop energy weapons. They were optimized for the standard galactic arsenal. Nobody used kinetic weapons anymore. They were considered primitive. The first salvo hit 3 Krithar cruisers simultaneously. The shields might as well have been tissue paper. The tungsten rods punched through armor, through hull, through vital systems. The cruisers didn't explode dramatically. They simply stopped being functional ships and became expanding clouds of debris. On his flagship, War Master Drokath stared at his displays in shock. 3 ships gone in seconds. What just hit us? He screamed. Kinetic weapons, sir! Projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. That's impossible. Nobody uses kinetic weapons. The humans do, sir. Humans? What humans? Earth is a backwater. They're primitives. His sensor officer looked at him with fear. Sir, I don't think they're primitives anymore. The human fleet advanced. Drokath gave orders to return fire. Plasma lances and missile barrages launched toward the human ships. The humans didn't even seem concerned. Point defense systems, designed to stop Earth's own hypersonic weapons, tracked and eliminated 94% of incoming fire. The rest splashed against layered armor and adaptive shielding. Captain Doyen allowed himself a small smile. They fight like the assembly taught them to fight. Energy weapons, missiles, predictable. He opened a channel to the fleet. All ships engage at will. Let's clean up this mess. The battle that followed wasn't really a battle. It was an execution. Human ships moved with precision and purpose. The morning sun rose over a city that shouldn't have survived the night. Dr. Choi Minji stepped off the transport shuttle and looked at the devastation around her. Buildings stood half-collapsed. Fires still burned in the distance. The streets were marked with blast craters and debris, but people were alive. Valthian civilians moved through the streets, cautious and frightened, but alive. Human soldiers stood at intersections, their powered armor making them look like walking tanks. They held their weapons with casual readiness, watching for threats. The Valthian gave them wide berth. Minji understood why. Humans looked dangerous because humans were dangerous. Evolution on Earth didn't allow for weakness. Everything about human physiology was built for survival on a world that constantly tried to kill its inhabitants. She adjusted her translator device and approached the nearest group of Valthian. They backed away from her instinctively. She was smaller than the soldiers, not wearing armor, but she was still human. Still a predator in their eyes, please, she said in their language. I'm a doctor. I'm here to help. My name is Minji. An elderly Valthian stepped forward cautiously. You speak our tongue? We learned it from your broadcasts. We've been listening to the galaxy for a long time. But the assembly said Earth was primitive. Minji smiled sadly. The assembly was wrong about a lot of things. Where are you wounded? We have medical supplies. The Valthian led her to a shelter where hundreds of injured civilians waited. Minji's medical team got to work immediately. They brought technology the Valthian had never seen. Regenerative stimulators, synthetic tissue grafts, nanosurgical tools. A Valthian doctor worked alongside Minji, watching in amazement. This technology is decades ahead of our own. How did you advance so quickly? Necessity, Minji replied as she treated a child's burns. When your world tries to kill you constantly, you learn medicine very well. Humans had to figure out how to repair our bodies because we damaged them so often. You speak of Earth as if it was hostile. It was. It is. Earth is what we call a death world. Extreme weather. Dangerous predators, diseases, natural disasters. Our evolution was driven by survival pressure. The Valthian doctor looked disturbed. How does a species develop intelligence in such conditions? By being more dangerous than everything else, Minji said quietly. Across the city, Captain Han Doyen met with mediator Alessandra in what remained of the council chambers. The Valthian leader studied him carefully. He was tall by her standards, heavily muscled, with scars visible on his face and hands. His eyes were alert, constantly scanning for threats. Thank you for coming, Alessandra said. You saved my people. We did what was necessary, Doyen replied. The Krithar won't return immediately. Our ships destroyed most of their blockade fleet. But they will come back eventually. They'll want revenge, and then what do? You prepare. We teach you how to defend yourselves. And we stay until you're ready. Alessandra hesitated. Captain, forgive me for asking, but what do you want in return? In our experience, no one helps without expecting something. Doyen considered the question. Fair enough. We want an ally, someone who knows the galaxy better than we do. We want trade. We want knowledge. But mostly we want to prove that Earth isn't what the galaxy thinks we are. And what does the galaxy think you are? Dangerous, violent, primitive, and they're not wrong. We are those things, but we're also capable of protecting people who can't protect themselves. We want the chance to show that violence can be used for good. Scholar Threndal entered the chamber, carrying ancient texts. He bowed politely to both leaders. Forgive the interruption, but I've found something important. He spread out the texts on the table. They were thousands of years old, written in languages that predated modern Valthian civilization. These are warnings from the ancient times, Threndal explained. They speak of death world species, sapient races that evolved in hostile environments. The texts say these species are dangerous beyond measure. They recommend avoiding contact. Why? Alessandra asked. Because death world species develop differently. They evolve aggression, adaptability, resilience. The texts describe them as having redundant organs, incredible healing abilities, resistance to toxins and diseases. They say death worlders are born warriors. Doyen listened quietly. Your ancestors knew about species like us? Apparently, but most modern civilizations dismissed these texts as mythology. We thought death worlds couldn't produce intelligent life. The conditions seemed too hostile. Threndal looked at Doyen. We were wrong. So what happened to the other death world species? We don't know. The text suggests some destroyed themselves in internal wars. Others were avoided by the galactic community. Some may still be out there unknown. Alessandra felt a chill. Are all Death World species as capable as humans? Threndal shook his head. The text suggests variants, but they all share certain traits. Enhanced physical abilities, aggressive tendencies, high intelligence combined with violent instincts. He paused. The texts call them the galaxy's monsters. That's a harsh term, Doyen said. Is it inaccurate? Threndal asked gently. Doyen had no answer for that. In the military district, Colonel Park Jiwoo trained with Guardian Velmoth. The Valthine warrior was their best fighter, trained in their martial traditions. He wanted to learn from the humans. Park demonstrated a basic combat sequence. Her movements were economical, precise, devastating. Velmoth tried to follow but couldn't match her speed or power. I'm too slow, he said, frustrated. You're not built for this kind of fighting, Park replied. Your people evolved differently. Your martial arts are beautiful, but they're designed for philosophy and meditation, not killing. Then teach me what works for killing, Park studied him carefully. Why? Your people don't want to be warriors. Someone has to protect them. I've seen what happens when peaceful people face those who aren't peaceful. We become victims. Park understood that feeling. She grew up in a world recovering from war. She joined the military to prevent more wars. All right, she said. I'll teach you. But understand something first. Once you learn to think like a warrior, you can't unlearn it. You'll see threats everywhere. You'll calculate violence constantly. It changes you. I accept that, Velmoth said. The training continued. Park taught him about leverage, about using an opponent's strength against them, about fighting to survive rather than fighting with honor. Velmoth was a quick learner. He absorbed the lessons eagerly. Watching from a distance, Lieutenant Kang Hyunwoo felt conflicted. He was young, only 26. He grew up hearing stories about Earth's wars, about how humanity nearly destroyed itself before learning to work together. A Valthine child approached him shyly. Are you a warrior? Hyunwoo looked down at the child. I'm a pilot. I fly the ships that protect people. Were you scared? When you fought the bad aliens? Yes, Hyunwoo admitted. I'm always scared when I fight. Fear keeps you alert. Keeps you alive, the child considered this. My parent says humans are scary. But you helped us. So are you good scary or bad scary? Hyunwoo smiled. I hope I'm good scary. I try to be. The child seemed satisfied with that answer and ran off to play. Hyunwoo watched the child go and wondered if that was the best humanity could hope for. Being the good monsters in a dangerous galaxy. On the orbital command station, Admiral Yoon Tae-jin received reports from across the fleet. Repair crews worked on damaged ships. Medical teams treated wounded. Intelligence officers analyzed data captured from destroyed Krethar vessels. His chief intelligence officer approached with a tablet. Sir, we've decoded their communications. The surviving Krethar ships sent detailed reports back to their empire. What did they report? Everything. Our weapons. Our tactics. Our capabilities. The Krethar High Command now knows exactly what they're facing. Yoon nodded. Good. Let them know. Let the whole galaxy know. Earth is here, and we don't hide what we are. Sir, the Galactic Assembly is demanding we attend a hearing. They want to know why we intervened without authorization. We don't need their authorization to help people, but arrange the meeting. It's time Earth introduced itself properly. The officer hesitated. Sir, some of the analysts are concerned. We've shown our strength. Other species might see us as a threat. They should, Yoon said bluntly. We are a threat. To aggressors. To bullies. To anyone who targets innocents. That's the point. The galaxy needs to understand that there are consequences for actions now. And if they try to stop us, Yoon looked out at the planet below. Then they'll learn the same lesson the Krethar learned. We're not asking for permission anymore. That evening, Minji joined Alessandra for a meal. The mediator had invited her to share traditional Valthine food. It was vegetarian, delicately spiced, served with ritual precision. This is beautiful, Minji said. Your culture values art in everything. We had time to develop such things, Alessandra replied. 10,000 years of peace allows for refinement. What is Earth's culture like? Minji thought carefully. Diverse, complicated. We have hundreds of cultures, thousands of languages. We've spent most of our history fighting each other. Only recently did we unify. What changed? We realized we had bigger problems than our differences. We nearly destroyed ourselves with nuclear weapons. We damaged our planet's climate. We fought wars in space itself. The warning alarms echoed through every human ship in the system. Captain Han Doyun stood on the bridge of the Retribution and watched 300 Krithar vessels appear on his displays. His crew worked frantically at their stations, calculating trajectories and threat assessments. "Sir, we're outnumbered 6-1, his executive officer reported. Doyen nodded calmly. They know what we did to their first fleet. They came prepared this time. Should we call for reinforcements from Earth? No time, they'd arrive too late. Doyen studied the tactical display. The Krithar were maintaining formation, staying at distance. They learned their lesson about getting too close to human weapons. He opened communications to Admiral Yoon. "Sir, recommend we evacuate non-essential personnel from the planet." "Agreed," Yoon replied. "But Captain, we're not retreating. Hold that system." "Understood, sir." On the surface, Dr. Choi Minji received evacuation orders. She was loading medical equipment when Mediator Alessandra found her. "You're leaving?" the Valthine asked, fear evident in her voice. "Only medical staff and civilians," Minji explained. "The military is staying to fight." "Against 300 ships?" "That's suicide," Minji paused. "Maybe, but we don't abandon people we promised to protect." "Why?" Alessandra's voice broke. "Why would you die for us? We're nothing to you. Just aliens you met days ago." Minji looked at the Valthine leader with sad understanding. "Because someone has to. Because if everyone runs when things get hard, then monsters like the Krethar always win. Humanity learned that lesson the hard way." The evacuation ships launched, carrying civilians to safe distance. Colonel Park Jiwoo's void recon units remained on the surface, preparing defensive positions. If the Krethar got through the orbital defenses, they'd face hell on the ground. Guardian Velmoth stood with Park, checking his weapon. "I'm staying too." "This isn't your fight," Park said. "Yes, it is. This is my world, my people. I won't run while others defend it." Park respected that. She nodded. "Then stay close to my squad. Follow our lead, and if things go bad, don't try to be a hero. Just survive." In orbit, the Krithar fleet began their advance. Fleet Commander Targul commanded from his flagship Dominion. He studied the intelligence reports carefully. The humans used kinetic weapons moving at relativistic speeds. They used unconventional tactics. They were dangerous, but he had numbers. He had distance. He had a plan. "All ships maintain defensive formation," he ordered. "Long-range bombardment only. Don't let them get close. We'll wear them down with superior numbers." It was sound strategy. The humans had proven they could win close-range fights. So don't fight close range. Captain Doyen saw the Krithar strategy immediately. "They're going to stay at distance and hammer us with missiles and energy weapons. Smart." His tactical officer looked worried. "Sir, we can't match their firepower at range. Our railguns are devastating, but we need to get closer to use them effectively. Then we make them come to us." Doyen smiled grimly. "Implement Pattern Omega-7. Pattern Omega-7 was a doctrine developed during the Titan Wars, when corporate fleets fought for control of the asteroid belt. When outnumbered, you don't fight fair. You use terrain. You use deception. You make the enemy react to you instead of executing their plan." The human fleet suddenly scattered. Ships broke formation and dove toward the planet, using its gravity well for cover. Others retreated into the asteroid belt at the system's edge. Some powered down to minimum emissions, trying to hide. On the Dominion, Targul watched with satisfaction. "They're running. All ships pursue. Don't let them escape." His fleet broke formation to chase the fleeing humans. It seemed like victory. It seemed like the humans panicked. It was a trap. The human ships hiding in the asteroid belt suddenly activated. They'd been waiting, quiet and patient. As the Krithar ships passed, the humans struck from ambush. Railgun fire ripped through the Krithar rearguard. Simultaneously, the ships near the planet weren't hiding. They were preparing. Human engineers had spent the last 3 days mining the orbital debris field. Now they triggered those charges. Debris that looked natural suddenly became weapons. Explosions sent shrapnel clouds through space at incredible velocities. Krithar ships flew directly into the kill zones. Their shields stopped some fragments, but not enough. Hulls were punctured. Systems were damaged. "It's an ambush," Targul's sensor officer screamed. They weren't running. They were positioning. Lieutenant Kang Hyunwoo led his fighter squadron through the chaos. Their mission was simple and insane. Penetrate the Krithar fleet and reach the flagship. All wings, stay tight, he ordered. Don't engage unless necessary. Our target is the Dominion. His squadron dove into the enemy formation. Krithar interceptors scrambled to stop them. Space filled with weapons fire. Hyunwoo's wingmate took a direct hit and exploded. Another fighter lost engines and spiraled away. Keep going, Hyunwoo shouted. Don't stop. They carried a special payload. During the chaos of the battle, human ships had been positioning asteroids. Now those asteroids fell toward the Dominion, accelerated by carefully placed charges. The flagship's crew detected them too late. The asteroids weren't weapons themselves. They were projectiles, and Hyunwoo's squadron carried the triggers, fusion devices attached to the rocks payloads away. Hyunwoo called. His squadron released their weapons and broke off, running at maximum speed. Fleet Commander Targul watched the asteroids approach. His point defenses fired frantically. They destroyed 2 asteroids, deflected another, but 3 got through. The fusion charges detonated, not to destroy the asteroids but to change their trajectory. Orbital mechanics did the rest. Multi-billion-ton rocks slammed into the Dominion at 15 kilometers per second. The flagship didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist as anything recognizable. With their command ship destroyed, the Krithar fleet's coordination collapsed. Individual captains made individual decisions. Some tried to continue the fight. Others attempted to retreat. Most just tried to survive. The human wolf packs exploited every opening. They struck from unexpected angles, used the debris field as weapons, and showed no mercy. This wasn't a fair fight. It was systematic elimination. Captain Doyen watched from the retribution as the battle turned. All ships opened communications to remaining Krithar vessels. Admiral Yoon's voice came over the channel, broadcast to every Krithar ship. This is Admiral Yoon Taejin of United Earth Space Navy. You have one chance to survive. Withdraw now. Leave this system. If you're still here in 10 minutes, we hunt down every single ship. The Krithar fleet broke. Over 200 vessels turned and fled, jumping to FTL as fast as their drives could charge. They left behind 90 destroyed ships and thousands of their dead. The battle lasted 4 hours. The Great Krithar Armada was routed, but victory had a price. 12 human ships were destroyed. Thousands of crew members died. Fighter squadrons were decimated. Lieutenant Kang Hyunwoo's squadron launched with 20 fighters. Only 6 returned. Hyunwoo himself was missing. His fighter disappeared in the chaos around the Dominion. The rescue team searched but found nothing. Captain Doyen stood in his ready room writing letters to the families of dead crew members. Each letter was personal. He owed them that much. These people died under his command, following his orders. Dr. Minji found him hours later still writing. Captain, you need to rest. I need to finish these letters. They can wait. No, they can't. Doyen looked up, and Minji saw the exhaustion in his eyes. These people trusted me. They followed me into battle. The least I can do is tell their families what happened. Minji sat down across from him. Was it worth it? The question hung in the air between them. Doyen thought about the thousands of Valtheans still alive because of this battle. He thought about the human crew members who would never go home. Ask me in 10 years, he finally said. Right now I'm too tired to have that answer. On the planet, the Valtheen emerged from shelters to see the debris field in orbit. They understood what happened. The humans fought 300 ships and won, but the cost was visible in the wreckage falling as shooting stars. Mediator Elisandra called an emergency assembly. Her people needed to decide their future. The humans saved them twice now, but alignment with Earth meant choosing sides in a galaxy that was watching nervously. Guardian Velmoth spoke to the assembly. They saved us. They bled for us. Some died for us. Whatever we think of humans, whatever they are, they chose to protect us when no one else would. Scholar Threndal added his voice. The galaxy is not what we believed. Peace doesn't exist because everyone is peaceful. It exists because someone somewhere is willing to fight for it. The humans are willing to be those fighters. The debate lasted hours. Some Valtheen were afraid of the humans. Others were grateful. Many were both. The vote was close but clear. Valthosifor would formally ally with Earth. Far away in the Krithar Empire's capital, the Imperial Council received reports of the battle. 2 fleets destroyed, hundreds of ships lost, thousands dead, all by a species they barely knew existed. An intelligence officer presented her analysis. We've underestimated them catastrophically. Earth is a death world. Its people are apex predators, and they've developed technology specifically designed for warfare. Then we send more ships, one council member suggested. No, the intelligence officer said firmly. 6 months after the battle, Valthos 4 looked different. The cities were rebuilt, but not the same as before. Valthian architects designed beautiful buildings, but human engineers made them strong. Shelters rated for orbital bombardment hid beneath artistic plazas. Defense batteries were disguised as monuments. The planet was beautiful again, but now it was also prepared. Ambassador Lee Subin walked through the capital city observing the changes. She was Earth's first official ambassador to an alien species. A career diplomat chosen for her ability to make people comfortable, she understood her real job was to make humanity seem less threatening. It was difficult work. Humans were threatening. She met with mediator Alessandra in the new council chambers. The building was a hybrid design, Valthian grace supported by human durability. Like everything else on this world now. The embassy construction is complete, Subin reported. We're ready to receive delegations from other species. Alessandra nodded. Several governments have expressed interest in meeting with Earth. They're curious and afraid. That's expected. We appeared suddenly and proved we could destroy established military powers. Fear is natural, is it? Alessandra asked. For my people, fear was something we rarely felt before the Krithar. Now we see threats everywhere. The humans taught us that. Subin chose her words carefully. We didn't teach you fear. The galaxy did. We just taught you awareness. Is there a difference? Yes, fear paralyzes. Awareness prepares. Your people are learning to protect themselves. That's not the same as living in fear. In the military training facility outside the city, Colonel Park Ji-woo watched her students practice. The first interspecies military academy was proving successful. Guardian Velmoth had become her best student, and now he helped train others. A group of Valthian volunteers worked through combat drills. They were clumsy compared to humans, but they were learning. More importantly, they were willing to learn. Velmoth approached Park during a break. I've been thinking about what you said. About how learning to fight changes you. Having regrets? Park asked. No. Understanding. Velmoth looked at his hands. I see violence everywhere now. In movement. In positioning, in words. I calculate threats constantly. You were right. I can't unlearn this. Does it bother you? Sometimes. But mostly I'm grateful. I was blind before. Now I can see. Park understood. She remembered her own transformation from civilian to soldier. The goal isn't to make you paranoid. It's to make you capable. There's a difference between being ready for violence and seeking it. Do humans always know that difference? Park smiled sadly. No, that's our constant struggle. We're good at violence, too good, so we have to consciously choose when to use it. Across the galaxy, Admiral Yoon Taejin traveled to Concord, the neutral world where the Galactic Assembly met. His ship, the Retribution, arrived with a small escort. The display was calculated. Enough strength to command respect, not enough to seem aggressive. The Assembly's Grand Hall held representatives from hundreds of species. Yoon entered in full dress uniform, his bearing military but not threatening. He carried no weapons. His security detail waited outside. The assembled representatives watched him with varying expressions. Curiosity, fear, calculation. The Assembly Speaker, a floating gas being from the Orth Collective, addressed him. Admiral Yoon Taejin of Earth. Your species has caused considerable disruption to galactic affairs. We responded to a distress call that your assembly ignored. Yoon replied calmly. You used military force without authorization. We don't require authorization to help people being murdered. The chamber erupted in debate. Some species supported Earth's actions. Others argued for restrictions on human military activity. A few quietly watched, calculating their own interests. Yoon waited for silence, then spoke again. Earth isn't asking for permission. We're stating fact we exist. We're spacefaring, and we will respond to threats against innocent civilizations. You can accept that reality and work with us, or you can oppose it. Your choice. A representative from the Qualian Harmony stood. You speak of protecting innocence, but you're a death world species. Your entire evolution was driven by violence. How do we know you won't become the threat? Yoon expected that question. Because we've been the threat before. To ourselves. We nearly destroyed our own species multiple times. We learned from those mistakes. We unified specifically to prevent that kind of destruction. Words are easy, another representative said. Proof is harder. Then judge us by our actions. We could have conquered Valthos IV. We didn't. We could have demanded tribute for our protection. We didn't. We offered alliance between equals. That's who we are. The debate continued for hours. Eventually, the assembly reached a compromise. Earth would be granted provisional membership. Trade agreements would be negotiated, but human military activity would be closely monitored. Yoon accepted the terms. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. Earth was officially part of the galactic community. In the Krethar Empire, different discussions took place. Fleet Commander Targol's replacement attended a council meeting to discuss Earth. The debate was fierce. We should negotiate, one counselor argued. 2 defeats prove they're too dangerous to fight. We should retreat and rebuild, another suggested. Give them space. Avoid conflict. We should escalate, a war advocate insisted. Commit everything. Show them that the Krethar don't surrender. The debate ended when a junior intelligence analyst requested permission to speak. Her name was Keshra, and she had spent 6 months studying every scrap of information about Earth. Council members, with respect. You're all wrong, she said. Earth doesn't want to conquer us. They want us to leave them and their allies alone. That's all. How can you be certain? Keshra displayed human historical records. They have a pattern. When threatened, they respond with overwhelming force, but they don't expand aggressively. They're defensive, not expansionist. If we stop threatening their interests, they'll stop destroying our fleets. The council considered this. You're suggesting we simply accept their power? I'm suggesting we adapt to reality. Earth exists. Earth is powerful. Fighting them costs us resources and ships. Accepting them costs us nothing except pride. The debate continued, but Keshra's analysis influenced the outcome. The Krethar Empire would propose a formal ceasefire. They would establish borders. They would avoid Valthos and Earth's allies. It wasn't surrender. It was pragmatism. On Valthos IV, Dr. Choi Minji worked in the Joint Research Institute. Valthene scientists and human researchers collaborated on projects ranging from medicine to theoretical physics. It was slow work. The species thought very differently, but productive. She spent her evenings with mediator Elisandra. A genuine friendship had formed between them. They discussed philosophy, culture, the challenges of first contact. Do you think we can truly coexist? Elisandra asked one evening. Your species and mine are so different. Minji watched a group of human and Valthene children playing together in a park. The human children were careful with their strength. The Valthene children were learning to trust them. We're learning to, she said. It's not easy. Your people had to lose their innocence about the galaxy. My people have to learn restraint. But look at them, she pointed to the children. A human child helped a Valthene child climb a structure too tall for them. The Valthene child laughed with delight. That's the future, Minji continued. Not perfect, but possible. In Earth's orbit, production facilities that had been idle since the Titan Wars reactivated. Not because war was coming, but because Earth learned to prepare for possibilities. Shipyards built new vessels. Training facilities graduated new crews. The United Earth government announced a new policy. Earth would establish a rapid response fleet. Any species facing extinction-level threats could request aid. Earth would evaluate each situation and respond if appropriate. It was a bold declaration. Some saw it as heroic. Others saw it as Earth positioning itself as the galaxy's police force. Captain Han Doyen watched the announcement from his retirement home in Korea. He stepped down from command after the Valthos campaign. Too many ghosts haunted him. Too many letters written to families. His replacement, Commander Kim Seo-hyun, visited him before taking command of the Retribution. She was younger, eager, confident. Any advice? She asked. Doyen looked at her seriously. Remember that every order you give affects real people, real families. And remember that being strong doesn't mean you have to use that strength. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is show restraint. Did you have regrets? Every day. But I'd do it again. Because the alternative was letting innocent people die. Just carry that weight carefully. It gets heavy. At the Valthos Military Academy, a ceremony honored the first graduating class. Valthene and humans stood together in formation. They weren't equals in capability. Humans would always be more physically dangerous, but they were partners. Guardian Velmoth gave the graduation speech. We learned to fight. But more importantly, we learned why to fight. Not for conquest, not for glory. For protection. For peace. For the people who cannot protect themselves. He looked at Colonel Park Ji-woo, standing at attention with her instructors. Our teachers are monsters. They admit this freely. But they are our monsters. And in a galaxy where monsters exist, perhaps we need some on our side. 1 year after first contact, Lieutenant Kang Hyunwoo woke from cryosleep. His fighter had drifted for months in the debris field before a salvage team found his emergency beacon. The cold sleep saved his life, but the recovery was long and painful. He stood at the window of the medical station, looking at Valtos 4 below. The planet looked peaceful from orbit. Beautiful. Hard to believe he nearly died defending it. Dr. Choi Minji entered his room with test results. Your recovery is progressing well. You'll be cleared for duty in a few weeks. Do I want to return to duty? Hyunwoo asked quietly. Minji understood. She'd seen this before. Combat changed people. Some returned to service. Others couldn't. Both choices were valid. That's your decision. The Navy will support whatever you choose. Hyunwoo thought about the friends who didn't make it back, about the Krithar ships he destroyed, about the Valthene children who were alive because of what he did. I think I'll teach, he finally said. Train the next generation. Maybe they can be smarter about war than we were. That sounds good, Minji replied. The Academy on Valthos is always looking for experienced instructors. On Earth, the United Earth government held a secret meeting. Deep beneath the Swiss Alps, in facilities built during the Titan Wars, engineers reported on their progress. The new shipyards are operational, the chief engineer reported. We can now produce 100 ships per year if necessary. Let's hope it's never necessary, President Chen Daewon said. But Earth learned to prepare for worst-case scenarios. Admiral Yoon Taejin, now serving as military advisor to the government, reviewed strategic assessments. Sir, intelligence suggests several species are attempting to develop their own Death World recruitment programs. They're searching for primitive civilizations on hostile planets and trying to uplift them. Will it work? Unknown. Death World species develop naturally over millions of years. You can't artificially create that evolutionary pressure. But they'll try. The president nodded. Monitor it. If any species is being exploited, we intervene. That could be seen as interference. I don't care. Earth won't stand by while others are enslaved or manipulated. On Valthos IV, the anniversary celebration drew crowds from across the system. Humans and Valthene mixed freely now. The fear had faded, replaced by familiarity. Children played together. Families shared meals. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. Mediator Elisandra stood at the memorial honoring those who died during the invasion. Human and Valthene names were carved together in stone. No distinction between species. Just people who died protecting others. Ambassador Lee Subin joined her. A good turnout. They're celebrating survival, Elisandra said, and mourning loss. Both are necessary. How do your people feel now? About humans? About what happened? Elisandra considered the question carefully. We're grateful, and still a little afraid. You saved us, but you also showed us how dangerous the galaxy really is. We can't unknow that. Would you rather we hadn't come? No, but I wonder sometimes what we lost. My people were innocent once, pure. We believed the galaxy was fundamentally good. That belief is gone. Subin looked at the memorial. Innocence is beautiful, but it's also fragile. Maybe survival is worth the cost of losing it. Maybe, Elisandra said softly. Ask me again in 100 years. In the military academy, Colonel Park Ji-woo prepared for her final class before rotation back to Earth. Guardian Velmoth, now an instructor himself, helped her organize equipment. I'll miss working with you, he said. You've become an excellent teacher. Your students are lucky. I learned from the best. Velmoth hesitated. Can I ask you something personal? Of course. Do you ever regret becoming a soldier? All the violence you've seen and done? Park thought about her answer carefully. Every day. But I also know that people like us allow others to live in peace. Someone has to stand between the peaceful and those who would harm them. I chose to be that someone. Is that enough? For a life's purpose? It has to be, Park replied. Because the alternative is letting monsters win. The graduation ceremony that evening was the largest yet. Over 500 students from 12 species completed training. They weren't all warriors. Some were medics, engineers, diplomats, but all understood basic combat and self-defense. The galaxy was learning from Earth's example. Peace required preparation. In the Galactic Assembly, a new session addressed humanity's role in galactic affairs. Earth had honored its agreements. Trade flourished. Human technology flowed to species willing to pay for it, but tensions remained. A representative from the Quali and Harmony proposed restrictions on human military expansion. They've built 40 new warships this year. How many more before they become the threat they claim to protect against? Admiral Yoon, attending as Earth's representative, responded calmly. We build ships because history taught us the cost of being unprepared. But notice that we haven't attacked anyone. We haven't demanded territory. We've only defended our allies. You define allies very broadly. We defend species that cannot defend themselves. If that bothers you, perhaps examine why. The speaker intervened before the debate escalated. Earth has kept its agreements. Until they violate those terms, this assembly has no grounds for restrictions. The vote supported Earth, but barely. The galaxy remained divided on the human question. In the Krithar Empire, the ceasefire held. Borders were established. Trade agreements were negotiated. It wasn't friendship, but it was peace. Keshra, the intelligence analyst who recommended negotiation, was promoted to advisor. She continued studying Earth, trying to understand what made them different from other species. They're pack hunters, she explained to the Imperial Council. Humans evolved in groups. They're fiercely loyal to their chosen allies. That's why they defended the Valthene so viciously. Once humans consider you part of their pack, they'll die to protect you. And if we become their allies? A counselor asked. Then we gain powerful protectors. But we'd have to earn that status, trust, reliability, shared values. Humans don't ally based on convenience. They ally based on respect. The Empire began cautious overtures, not friendship but mutual respect, recognition of each other's strength and the wisdom of avoiding conflict. Scholar Threndall published his second book, Living with Monsters, a Guide to Human-Alien Relations. It became required reading in diplomatic schools across the galaxy. His core thesis, humans were dangerous, but predictable. They valued loyalty, honesty, courage, and protection of the weak. Appeal to those values and they were the best allies possible. Betray those values and they became your worst nightmare. As the anniversary celebration ended, Dr. Minji and mediator Alessandra sat together watching the sunset. They'd become close friends over the year, bridging the gap between their species through genuine connection. What happens now? Alessandra asked. The crisis is over. The wars are finished. Does Earth stay, or do your people move on to the next emergency? We stay, Minji replied. That's what alliance means. We're partners now. Your problems are our problems. Your future is tied to our future. That's frightening, being tied to a species so powerful and dangerous. Is it more frightening than being alone when the next threat comes? Alessandra smiled sadly. No, I suppose not. Far from the celebrations in the deep dark between stars, ancient sensors detected increasing activity in the sector. A civilization called the Architects, who built the first quantum drives millions of years ago, watched with interest. They remembered the last Death World species that reached the stars. It didn't end well. That species conquered half the galaxy before destroying itself in civil war. The Architects debated. Should they contact Earth, warn them, guide them, or simply watch and prepare for the worst? They decided to wait, to observe, to see if these humans were different from the others, but they prepared their ships, just in case. On Earth, deep space monitoring stations detected unusual quantum signatures from uninhabited sectors. The signatures didn't match any known species. They were old, very old. The Intelligence Division reported to Admiral Yoon. Sir, we're detecting what might be monitoring probes. Unknown origin. They're watching the sector where we've been most active. Recommendations? Continue as planned. But be aware that we're not the only advanced species in the galaxy, and some of them have been around much longer than the Galactic Assembly realizes. Yoon forwarded the report to the government. Earth would continue building alliances, trading with other species, defending innocence, but they would do it knowing that older, more powerful civilizations were watching. The thought didn't frighten him. Earth survived by assuming the universe was dangerous and preparing for it. This was just another challenge. In his retirement home, Captain Han Doyen received a letter from mediator Alessandra. She thanked him formally for saving her people. But she also included personal thoughts about fear, loss, and learning to live after trauma. He wrote back carefully. His response included advice he learned over decades of military service. The scars never fully heal, but they remind us why we fought. Hold on to the good you preserved, not just the bad you witnessed. Lieutenant Hyunwoo began teaching at the academy. His first class included Valthene humans and 3 species he'd never met before. They all wanted to learn from Earth's experience. On his first day, a student asked,